You might be feeling a little relief. Maybe your landlord gave you a small concession. Maybe a unit in your building finally turned over for the first time in months. Maybe you read that rents are down a little and took your first deep breath in months. That sense of relief is real, but it's fragile. Behind those small wins is a massive mismatch that's been building for years, and the math says it'll get worse before it gets better. The Greater Toronto Area is on track to amass a rental shortfall of roughly 121,000 units over the next decade, on top of 114,000 units the market already failed to deliver between 2016 and 2024. That's a deficit the size of a mid-sized city, and it's already in the system. Let's be blunt. 2024 and early 2025 gave renters a bit of breathing space. Vacancy nudged up. New rental completions hit levels we haven't seen in years. Nearly 35,000 new condo and purpose-built rental units delivered in 2024, more than double the decade average. And that pushed some asking rents down, or at least flatlined them in certain months. For some tenants, it meant negotiating power for the first time in a long while. But that relief hides a deeper problem. The market's short-term dynamics, population spikes, a one-time burst of new units, a pause in demand, created a temporary balance between supply and demand. The question isn't whether rents are lower today, it's whether supply will keep up when population and demand return to long-term trends. Urbanation's update shows it won't unless construction and approvals change fast. To understand why, we need the numbers. GTA population exploded in 2023 and 2024, roughly 550,000 people in just 2 years, a surge that usually unfolds over 6 or 7. That growth temporarily soaked up the extra units. But population forecasts for the next decade are smaller, about 726,000 new residents. Still big, but 38% less than the last boom. Even with growth slowing, Urbanation projects 232,000 new renter households over the next decade, but only 111,000 new rental units. The math leaves a gap of 121,000 homes between 2024 and 2034. Add that to the earlier shortfall of 114,000, and you're staring at roughly 235,000 missing rental homes. Why isn't the pipeline fixing this? Because construction starts have collapsed where it matters most. Condo apartment starts fell by 50% in 2024, the lowest in 25 years, while purpose-built rental starts barely rose, still below the 2021 peak. And more than 200,000 purpose-built rental units are sitting in planning limbo, stuck behind approvals, financing, or feasibility problems. Those are promises on paper, not homes with doors. If most of that planned supply never materializes, vacancies tighten, demand outruns what developers can build, and rents surge again. The softness we're seeing now could harden into a much worse squeeze later. Numbers tell one story, faces tell another. Across Toronto's neighborhood feeds and rental forums, the mood is anxious. On Reddit, people post the small, painful details. "My landlord served a rent increase notice. Again," writes one renter. "I applied to 40 listings in a week and got 0 replies to it," says another. Those aren't statistics. They're daily realities. Tenant anxiety is everywhere. Meanwhile, developers and city staff are speaking different languages. Builders blame red tape and soaring costs. Municipal reports show hundreds of thousands of units proposed, but 86% of them aren't built. They're stuck in review, waiting for approval, or simply shelved. Approvals don't mean keys. That gap between plans and reality is political, economic, and it's the real story behind those desperate online posts. Who benefits from this pause and who loses? In the short term, tenants who secured leases during the dip win a little. Investors holding older buildings still collect rent while they wait out volatility. But the losers, almost everyone else who isn't sitting on capital. At the policy level, promises are everywhere. Cities and provinces announce new targets and funding rounds. Toronto's Housing TO program lists thousands of units under construction and more on the way. But the scale of those plans is tiny compared to the shortfall the market is facing. Urbanation and Build's joint report says Purpose-built starts need to jump to around 16 to 19,000 units per year to avoid the worst outcomes. That's a massive leap from where we are now. And it's not just a budget line. It takes policy shifts, financing, labor, materials, and real political will. Then there's the friction. Municipal approval delays, development charges, and economic hurdles keep projects frozen. Developers say, cut the red tape and lower fees. Urbanists argue, protect tenants and guarantee affordability. Each side blames the other. The truth for renters is simpler. Politicians promise relief, but what gets delivered is often a fraction of what's needed. Let's look ahead. Scenario 1. Recovery through delivery. Approvals speed up, financing improves, and builders actually finish their pipelines. Vacancy steadies, rents grow at a manageable pace. But to reach that, purpose-built starts have to rise fast, and the 200,000 units stuck in planning need to move forward. A tall order. Scenario 2. Stagnation, then squeeze. Projects stall, construction workers leave, costs rise, and population growth outpaces supply again. Vacancies shrink, rents spike, and affordability collapses for new renters. That's the path we're already on. Scenario 3. Policy shock. Governments intervene with big incentives, fast-track approvals, or even public rental builds. It cools pressure for a while but sparks new controversy and slows long-term delivery. Urbanation's numbers suggest we're drifting toward the second scenario unless something changes. A pipeline on paper isn't housing, it's paperwork. If you rent in the GTA, here's what matters. Treat this soft market as temporary. If you have a lease, protect it. If you're renewing or searching, lock in longer terms while you can. Watch the pipeline, not the headlines. Look for projects with shovels in the ground, the ones with financing secured and construction underway. Those are the units that actually become homes. Document everything and know your rights. Tenant protection rules and municipal supports exist. Use them if you face renovictions or improper increases. And get political. This crisis is structural. The decisions made in the next few years will decide if you have stable housing 5 years from now. Vote, speak up, and push your representatives for real timelines on the stalled projects. The small relief tenants feel today isn't a turning point. It's a pause. The numbers from Urbanation and Build show that under current trends, the GTA will remain deeply short of rental housing for the next decade. That shortage isn't random. It's the result of choices: political, financial, and bureaucratic. If you're renting now, this matters. Your next lease renewal could be the moment the market tilts again. And for anyone who still believes the market will fix itself, the math says otherwise. The rental time bomb is real. The clock is ticking. What happens next will decide whether the next generation gets a fair shot at housing, or whether the GTA becomes a city only a few can afford. Where are you renting? What's your renewal looking like? Drop a comment with your neighborhood. We'll follow up.